Hey everybody, Heather here. So today we're going to be coloring this super cute Sherri Baldy image called Tweet. Isn't she adorable? I will put a link down in the description box to all the supplies I used, and I would love it if you like the video, if you could hit the like button and share it with others. Also, if you haven't subscribed to my channel, I would love for you to be a subscriber. If you have a question, please leave me a comment. I'm always happy to answer all your questions and help you out. So I've already stamped my image on Nina 80-pound Solar White cardstock with Memento Tuxedo Black ink. So let's color. So let's start out by outlining our image, and for that I'm going to use B000, B000 in my colorless blender. So I'm just going to start right down here at the bottom with my B000, and I'm going to go all the way around. And if you do this first, then if you get any on here, on her, you can erase it with your colorless blender. There's a little spot between his legs there, so I'm going to do that real quick. Or her legs. Maybe it's a her. She has flowers in her hair. And just quickly go up here. Work your way around. I'm going to kind of swoosh right in here where her hair is kind of stringy there. Same up here where she's got her little sprouts of hair sticking out. I'm just going to kind of go a little bit in between. And work my way back down to this side. Then I'm going to grab my B000, and I'm just going to lay my pen down on top of my last color, and I'm going to flick it away from that color line. And this will soften the edge a little bit and bring my color out away from her just a tad bit more. Give her more of a blue outline, blue sky behind her. I'm not being neat and tidy about it. I'm just brushing it along until I get down here at the bottom. Next, I'm going to take my colorless blender, and I'm just going to lay my pen down on top of where I haven't colored and brush over both colors past both of them until I come out here into the white again. And just feather that out. And this will work best if your colorless blender is full or not empty. It has a lot of juice in there, it works best. I have a couple of strong lines there still, so I'm going to go back and brush on this side just a little bit more. And then when it dries, it will give her a nice little shadow around the outside. Next, let's give her something to stand on. So for that, we're going to use G46 and G43. I'm going to start with my G46. And I'm just going to go right next to, she's got some grass right here, so I'm going to go ahead and put my pen down underneath that grass. And then I want to go underneath of her shoe. And just pull that line away from her shoe a little bit. And she's got a couple little shoestrings there. I'm trying not to color over those too much, even though I'm going to color in brown later, because this green's pretty dark. So let's go like this. And then I'm going to take my G43, And I'm going to color up some of these some of these little bits of grass they've got right here. And then I want to soften my edge, so I'm going to just go right over the top. And then I like to go back with my darkest color again and just add a little bit more shadow back in. And I'm also going to use these colors up here, and the bird's got a couple of leaves in her hair. So I'm going to take my G46 and color the center of this little leaf. And then she's got a couple of pieces that kind of come out below that flower. And then I'm going to fill them in with my G43. Since we got those colors out, we might as well just go ahead and do that little area there. For her skin, I'm going to use E11, E21, E00, E000. For her cheeks and her lips, I'm going to use, well, for her cheeks, I'm going to use R43, R20, and R30. And then for her lips, I'm going to use R43. So I'm going to start out by doing her skin, so let's start with E11. And I'm going to go over here and start on her hand. And I'm going to go right next to her sleeve and then do the underneath. And then she's got a couple of fingers there. And where the bird's standing, I'm going to do a little dab of color underneath of her, just a little bit. And then for this hand, I'm going to go again right next to her sleeve and around her little thumb there. And I'm going to do her little bitty neck a little bit while I've got that color out. And then I'm going to grab E21. And let's add a little bit more color over here. And same for her neck. And her hand. And then I'm going to fill all that section in with my E00. Because it's pretty small and there's not really any more room there for my E000. So now for her face, I'm going to again grab E11, and I want to start over here and give this side of her face a little bit more shadow, because it's tipped down, and then I'm going to bring it over here to that little curly Q. Then I'm going to grab E21 and bring my line up past the curly Q. And then I want to bring my line back around to the other side over here. And then I'm going to grab E00. Let's bring that color in just a little bit more. And I'm not worried that it's not blended all the way this first time through, because I'm going to go over it again after I put the cheek color on. And then I take my E000 and just slightly go over the whole thing. Now I'm going to grab R43. Let's do this cheek here. And I'm going to do her lips as long as I've got it out. And then R20. And then R30. Soften the edge just a little bit. And then I'm going to do my skin tones again, so I've grabbed E11. And I'm just going to brush down along here and brush this one out on her cheek just a little bit. And then E21. Brush more on this cheek, and let's feather on this cheek. And I'm going to add a little bit up here because it's looking got a little bit of line up there. And then E00. And then my E000 to go over the whole thing. For her eyes, let's use E31, G43, and G40. So I'm going to start with my E31, and I'm just going to give each side of her little eye a little swoosh of color. And then I'm going to go with G43, and I will go right over the top of that brown. I'm going to try to leave a little bit of space down there at the bottom of white for my G40, which I'm using now. And then I'm going to go over them again just to darken them up. So I'm going to do E31, G43, G40. Let's do our hair now, and for that we're going to use E47, E44, E43, and E42. And I'm going to start with my E44. And let's start down here underneath this little bow. Just add a couple of little streaks in. And then I want to go above the bow. And then let's do up here where a part is. And I try to keep my streaks going in the direction that the hair is growing. And I'm going to turn her this way so I can do this side. So here it kind of curves over the top, so I'm pulling my pin down. And then I also want to do down here where it tucks behind her hand. And pull a little bit of that color up. And she's got a little section right here by her eye that kind of looks like it's underneath, so I'm going to do a little bit of color right in there. And next I'm going to grab E43. And just add some more color in there. And then over here, we're going to do some color over here. And that little section that looks like it's underneath. And I'm going to turn her a little bit so that I can do up here. And I'm going to add a couple of little streaks up here towards the top. Then I'm going to do E42. I'm going to leave a couple little white streaks in there this time. And then I'm going to add my darkest color, which is E47. Just for some stripes in there, add a little bit more depth. And I'm trying to use just the tip of my pin so I get a really tiny line. Turn it this way so I can do this side. And then I do a little bit down here. Maybe pull that up just a little bit more. Let's jump down here and do our shirt next, and for that I'm going to use V01, V000, and V000. So I'm going to start with my V01, and I'm going to go in here and add some shadows. And for this sleeve, let's go. And she's got some great little lines there already, so I'm just going to exaggerate those a little bit. And let's add some shadows here where her hand's kind of leaning up against her shirt. And let's do these bumps over here on her shirt. Then I'm going to go with V000. And I want to set my pin down on top of the last color and pull it out here towards the white. I'm just softening that line. And then I'm going to go over the whole thing with my V quadruple zero. I think I'll darken up my shadows just a little bit, so I've grabbed my V01 again. Just go back in and add some of those darker colors back in. It's a pretty light sweater. And then I also want to add this to her cuff. So some of the lines on her cuff are blue. So I just picked every other one. And then I've grabbed V triple zero. And I'm going to soften these lines I just put in just a little bit. And then V quadruple zero. And if you get some on those smaller stripes, it's no big deal because we're going to paint those blue, and so that's going to cover those up. Oops, and I forgot our collar up here. Let's do this is VO1. Oops, that one probably should have been blue. Oh well, we'll color that over that with that one. And then V triple zero to fill that in. Next, let's do the dark purple areas, and for that we're going to use V17, V15, V12, and VO1. So I'm going to start with my V17, and let's go up here and start on this bow. So I'm going to do the inside of this bow right here, on the back, where it's back here, and then I'm going to give the little dip right here a little dab. And then let's do a little bit on the inside of this bow. And then let's do the little lines. That. And then same for this guy. She's got a little bit of bow showing over here, so I'm going to fill that in. And then I want to go right along the inside of that. And then do each of those little lines. And let's go ahead and do this heart too. So I'm going to do a little bit on this side. And my V17 I don't use very much, so it's really wet. If yours is really wet, take the other end off so it doesn't make a big blob. So this is V15. That little section back there. And add a little bit to our heart. And then we're going to get V12. I'm going to fill in the center there. And pull a little bit more out here. And then VO1 to fill it in. And then as long as we have these colors out, let's go ahead and do the flowers too. For that we're going to use V17 and V12. So I'm going to grab my V17 first, and let's do the bird's flower. So I'm going to give the little center a little swirl like that. And then for all these flowers down here, I'm just going to give each petal a little dab. Same for her pants. And this flower. And I got to do her socks too. And then V12, so up here I'm going to fill in my flower on my bird's head. And and then come down here and fill in each of these. Then for her socks, let's go ahead and do those. So V17, I'm going to give the bottom of each sock, or I guess it could be the tongue of her shoe, and then V15, V12, and then V01. Let's jump down here and do her shoes now. And for that, we're going to use E49, E44, E43, and E42. And I'm going to start with my E49, and I want to add just a little bit of color onto her soles. So let's do just a little dab of E49 over here, and on this side, same for this one, and kind of on the back here. And then I also did her shoestrings, and they're really dinky, so you're going to want to use just the tip. Then I grab E44, and I also want to add this onto the shoe now, so let's go ahead and bring that down. I should probably add it right here above this little bump, where it looks like her shoe's got a little indentation in it right here. And then E43, and I'm going to fill in the sole. And then E42. For her pants, let's use B95, 93, and 91. I'm going to start with my B95. And I'm going to do this. She's got this little section here for fanny that's showing, so I'm just going to fill that in. Right there. And then up here, I'm going to do real close to the edge there and just give it a little bit of shadow there in between her legs. And then let's go down this side. And I'm going to exaggerate those lines a little bit. And then for this line, I'm going to bring that line out. And also you can see the back of her cuff, kind of the inside. I'm going to color that in. And let's exaggerate this cuff and this cuff. And then same for this side. I'm going to go down the inside and do those lines. Let's exaggerate this cuff and that cuff, and there's a little line here, and here I want to add. Now I'm going to go with B93. I'm going to fill this inside section right here all the way in. And then for the pants, I want to leave a shiny spot in the middle. So I'm just going to bring this in here. Go down this side. Careful not to color my flower there. And then I'm going to fill them in with B91. So I'm just going to go all the way across. Okay, and I think I'm going to darken them up a little bit, so I'm going to go back over them again. So I'm going to grab B95. B93. And then B91 to fill it in. And I also want to add some stripes up here to our shirt, so I'm going to use my B95, and let's give each one of these little small stripes on her sweater a little dab of color. And then 93. And then 91. So let's do the inside of the flowers real quick before I forget, and for that I'm going to use Y00, and I'm just going to give them a quick little swirl of color. Quick and easy. And then for her block she's sitting on, we're going to use T6, T4, T2, and T0. I'm going to start with my T6, and I'm just going to add a little bit here on the inside. And if you don't have the T's, you have any of the other grays, just go ahead and use those. Now this is really wet, so I can tell it's already blobbing, so I'm going to remove the other end of my pen before it gets crazy. I don't use T6 very much, obviously. And then let's do over here. And this side. Avoid having a big mess by removing the other end. And then T4, and I'm going to go ahead and just fill the inside section here in. And then we're going to brush away from this color here. And same for this side. And then T2. And then T1. And I'm going to go ahead and give this middle section just a little swirl real quick. So that leaves us with this cute little bird over here. So let's start out by doing his feet, and for that I'm going to use YR27. And they're pretty small, so you want to use just the tip of your pen. And I just filled them in. And then for his beak, or her beak, I did the bottom and the top. And then I filled in the center with YR21. And then for the bird, we're going to use E53, Y19, Y15, and Y02. So I'm going to start with my E53. I'm going to go right underneath the bird chin. And then I'm just going to kind of feather down a few little lines like that. And then I'm going to grab Y19, and I want to go over that color. And then Y15. And then we're going to fill it in with Y02. Just brighten it up. Okay, and for her face, we're going to again start with E53. And I want to do from this little sprout of feathers she's got here around this side. And then she's got a little cheek like it looks like. So I'm going to pull my color in just a little bit right there. And I'm going to bring this color down and around over here. I'm going to brush away from these flowers a little bit. And then we're going to color that over that color with the Y19. And I'm going to bring it a little bit further in. So I've went over my color plus a little bit. And then Y15. And then Y02. And now I'm going to go over her eyelids here and her little bit of that cheek. So here's our adorable tweet image all finished up. Didn't she turn out awesome? Love her. And again, here's the finished card. So I've added I took my Spigot glitter pen and I added some sparkles to her hair. I did around the outside of this little heart right here. I added it to all these little flowers, the grass, and the stems of the flowers I put some Spigot glitter pen on. I did the bird's eyelashes, and it doesn't look like I added any to that flower, but I probably should. But that's what I did with that. I didn't know stickles this time. Wow, amazing. And then up here on these flowers up here for the centers, I used my little stylus and my foam piece of paper, my little, what do you call it? I call it a computer map, but I put them upside down and swirled my stylus around on there so they kind of popped up. And then I put a pop-up underneath to make them dimensional. So I hope you had fun coloring with me today. Remember, if you have a question, please leave a comment and I'll happily get back to you. Otherwise, we'll see you next time. Have a great day. Bye.